In reading your book, I mean, greatly titled Why You're Sick and How to Get Well, I couldn't help, but it was kind of a roadmap in some ways for people that are going through illness to follow. And of course, the best way to start with a roadmap is to experience it yourself, something that you had for quite a long time there. Can you start with that? What was your story that led you to writing this book?
It was in the late 80s. I was breaking out of a an abusive marriage. So I was on this journey, this new journey to find a new career and a new place to live and all of that. And I was also divorcing toxic family members at the same time. I thought that was the best approach, just cut them out of your life. And then I started to get sick. I was very fit at the time. So I was lifting weights and doing yoga and swimming. So when I went to my doctor and said, I'm not feeling well, he did blood work. He did what the doctors typically do. He did blood work. He gave me a complete physical. My muscle strength was so strong that he was like, there's no way you can be sick, you're just
Right.
like the picture of health. There's no way you can be sick. And so he handed me a prescription and he sent me for stress management. And it wouldn't be for a few years until I discovered that that prescription was antidepressants
Hmm.
and the stress management was a psychologist.
Yeah.
Um, um, so there I was. I was sick with no diagnosis. I went from doctor to doctor. It took me 2 full years to get a diagnosis. And you probably read about that experience in the book. And so finally, I had a diagnosis of chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia.
Hmm.
And I was referred to the University of Medicine and Dentistry in Newark, where they had a center for persons with chronic fatigue syndrome. This was a new illness at the time.
Yeah.
They had just named it. And so, like most people, I did what the doctors told me to do. I thought they had answers for me.
Hmm.
Fast forwarding 7 years, 7 years, I gave Western medicine 7 years of my life, and I wasn't getting well. In addition to that, I had an emotional breakdown. So at the time, I was taking a chemical cocktail, a pharmaceutical cocktail. I was taking pills to help me sleep, pills to give me energy during the day, pills to help with the pain, pills for this, pills for that. And the combination of all of those pills really threw off my mental balance. And it was someone who was very close to me. I had a meltdown. I had a literal meltdown. And this person said to me, you need to get off those drugs. They're changing your personality. And that was my big wake up call.
Yeah.
So I slowly weaned myself off the pills. I realized that these doctors were not going to get me well, or at least the chances were very slim because I'd already given them 7 years. And I
Hmm.
set out to do things my own way. And so I believe it takes a body, mind, spirit approach. You have to address all of it. Okay, we have to look at what the body is lacking nutritionally, strength wise, things like that. And we have to look at the spirit and the mind as well. So that's my roadmap. That's how it happened. Now, for me, because I didn't have anyone to guide me, my recovery took 3 more years.
Yeah.
But 3 years later, I returned to my corporate job full time, and I've been healthy, ever since. Uh, I get sick occasionally, but I bounce back fairly quickly
Yeah.
because I know how to take care of myself now. So,
Yeah. Well, in the healing process, I always say you transform if it's truly healing. It's not just symptom management or disease management, which is what conventional medicine does very well for chronic illnesses. But when you transform, you also evolve and become a much better reader of yourself, right? You probably know when something's a little off with you, or you might feel a little bit more sick. Whereas in most people, that kind of intuition, that understanding of themselves is a bit outsourced to the doctor,
Mhm.
and they just listen to them and everything they say and put them on drugs, and they don't even really understand what they're feeling. They don't tap into the symptoms and the small signs that are showing that your body is telling you something may be off. So I truly believe that anybody that's healed, such as yourself, suddenly has this great appreciation and understanding of themselves. And that's a beautiful place to be.